So we have 6 more races to go over the course of the day, and we now head to DD2 Masters, their second and final race of the first day of action. Let's have a look at the grid. So on pole position will be Marco Winkler in the 566. Dennis Thum in the 544 will line up alongside on the front row. Daniel Schollenberger. Daniel Schollenberger in the 522 will have Timo Haug alongside on row 2. Stefan Kabau and Andreas Frenzel line up on row 3 ahead of Konrad Bayer and Klaus Parnet. Daniel Schulz, Tanju Yildiz and Falco Birkholz will round out the 11 strong. Rennnummer 103, Rennnummer 103, bitte sofort melden Sie sich zum Sportkommissar. Rennnummer 103, sofort zum Sportkommissar. Vielen Dank. So, now I'm just going to have a... Looks like Tanju Yildiz will again be starting from the pre-grid for the second race in a row. But the drivers come around through into the tram lines. Revs rise. The lights do go out as the sunshine hits here at Muelsen. As we now head into turns 1 and 2 for the first time. As it is definitely every driver out there for themselves. Through into the first infield part of the circuit. Dennis Thum looks to be leading the way in the 544. So the drivers now trying to filter their way through. Looks like Daniel Schollenberger, I think, might have just jumped up into second position. No, actually he's in third place at the moment as Dennis Thum appears to be leading the way, so I think it's Marco Winkler that might be in second or third place as the leaders now come around the final corner. Second and third line is third. That's our third and fourth and fifth. As Schollenberger goes side by side with Marco Winkler and gets the position through before turn 2. I think also Stefan Kabau definitely getting the elbows out and is staying ahead of Timo Haug at the minute. Haug to the outside through into turn 5, but in the meantime, Dennis Thum leading the way and had a gap of exactly 1.1 seconds ahead of both Marco Winkler and Daniel Schollenberger, who were line astern. They were side by side and both drivers were exactly 1.1 second. So at the moment, the drivers now making their way through to complete another lap. Lap 2 in the books. Dennis Thum in first. Daniel Schollenberger in second ahead of Marco Winkler, Stefan Kabau. Timo Haug rounding out the top 5. Frenzel being followed by Bayer, who is about 9/10 of a second adrift of the 503. Klaus Parnet, Falco Birkholz, Daniel Schulz, and also Tanju Yildiz. All 11 drivers still circulating in this particular moment in time. And at the moment, the leader is currently setting the pace in terms of the lap times. A 51.433 last time around on lap number 2. So the gaps look to be slightly extending here as Dennis Thum again sets the fastest lap of the race, a 51.249. Over a tenth and a half quicker than Daniel Schollenberger. So at the moment, the gap being held between first and second position is in the hands of Dennis Thum in the 5.44. Schollenberger rounds out the top two as leaders come across the start-finish line to complete lap number 4. Marco Winkler looking to close on Daniel Schollenberger, but in turn is being closed in on by Timo Haug in the 5.07. Stefan Grabo a further 2.519 seconds adrift down in P5. Andreas Frenzel is about half a second off of the 555 from Kraft Motorsport, whereas Konrad Bayer is nearly a second off of 6th position at the minute and is running in the 52.2s, having gone just over a tenth and a half quicker than Andreas Frenzel in the 5.03 on that last particular lap. But Timo Haug is the one that's making moves towards trying to get past the opposition. A 51.161 for the 5.07 from FM Racing. And now is closing on Winkler, looking to get up the inside, going side by side, but Winkler knows that Timo Haug was there, and Haug goes up the inside through turns 2 and 3. Round the outside, keeps the foot stuck in. But then Haug again managing to keep past Marco Winkler, and on that particular occasion now has the opportunity to try and see if he can get up to Daniel Schollenberger, because Schollenberger last time around in front of Marco Winkler was over 8.5 tenths of a second up the road. 9 minutes to go plus an additional lap. The second and final race here on Saturday, day 1 of the season. And here comes Dennis Thum across the line, 51.185. Schollenberger a 51.312. Timo Haug a 51.5. Winkler a 51.9. So Timo Haug was over 4 tenths of a second quicker than Marco Winkler on that particular occasion. But irrespective of the pace that Timo Haug is showing right now, what is clearly happening is he can't break the sort of stalemate, if you will, of being in the same position and not being able to move forward and actually try and catch up to the drivers in front. So just over 8 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. The gap between Dennis Thum and also Daniel Schollenberger now was 1.725 seconds. Thum crosses the line. Now does Schollenberger. 1.648 seconds as Timo Haug goes to just 1/1000th under the 51 second barrier. 50.999. Marco Winkler did actually set a personal best lap time of a 51.271, but is now just over 6 tenths of a second behind the 5.07. It's getting closer between Stefan Grabo, Andreas Frenzel and Konrad Bayer, as those three are covered by just over 1.3 seconds, but Bayer is the closest to Frenzel by 0.581 of a second. Stefan Grabo is 7.5 tenths ahead, as now Thum crosses the line. Tanju Yildiz will have to get out of the way very quickly when the blue flags are shown. But now Daniel Schollenberger responds, and now in the process takes the fastest lap. And there is Konrad Bayer looking to close up on Andreas Frenzel for what is 6th position. Bayer had a really good qualifying session earlier on this morning and put it on the front row of the grid. But obviously when it's wet it's one thing, when it's dry it's something completely different. The track is evolving minute by minute, lap by lap, as the drivers put the rubber down on the tarmac. So 6.5 minutes still to go. It's now the gap between Grabo, Frenzel and Bayer is just under 1.3 seconds. Klaus Parnet rounds out the top 8 as Tanju Yildiz for the second race in succession will not complete the full race distance. Well, he is, because it showed a blue light on the timing screen, but then he came across the start-finish line. My apologies there. But Yildiz will be shown the blue flag once again. Andreas Frenzel now sets a personal best. Konrad Bayer is about 4 tenths off of what he needs to close up. But Frenzel did a 51.815. Konrad Bayer a 52.210. Improvements on pure race pace from Falco Bergholz and Daniel Schultz, respectively, setting a 52.558 lap time and then a 53.391 for the latter. Dennis Thum now only has a second advantage over Daniel Schollenberger as Thun crosses the line. Schollenberger just under a second adrift by about 5/1000ths of a second. Timo Haug in third, a further 1.9 seconds adrift ahead of Marco Winkler. Stefan Grabau is now being closed in on by Andreas Frenzel. Frenzel just put in a 52.389 on that last lap. Grabau did a 52.268, so was marginally faster. Konrad Bayer's running in the mid 52.5s. As now Frenzel really senses that there is a chance. There's 4.5 minutes plus an additional lap of this race still to go. And I've just seen that Timo Haug is being, well, I wouldn't say reeled in, but it's being starting to get caught a little bit as Haug is trying to power up his way towards Daniel Schollenberger in second position. The biggest criteria here is that when you are 2 seconds adrift, and now that's 2.8 seconds, 2 seconds adrift, you've got to be lapping faster than the person in front. Now Daniel Schollenberger has put in the fastest lap of the race on lap 11 at 50.929. All 11 drivers still circulating. But it has been clean sailing so far for Dennis Thum at the minute, as the gap still is just over 1 second, just under 1.1 seconds as the sun returns and the temperature starts to increase in the air. We were hitting as low as 18 degrees Celsius this morning, maybe even slightly colder when we had a secondary rain shower. But it's looking to go into the low 20s at the moment, around about 22, 23 degrees Celsius. So Timo Haug now improves in the in terms of race pace as the two leaders have now crossed the line. Then comes Timo Haug, and he's got the gap down to 1.5 seconds between himself and Daniel Schollenberger. So Schollenberger now is 0.87 seconds adrift of Dennis Thum, who continues to lead. We're now on to lap number 14 of the race. The 5.02 of Klaus Panert, 6.2 seconds behind Konrad Bayer, who is dropping time to Andreas Frenzel in the 5.03. And Frenzel still trying to keep on terms in pace with Stefan Grabau, but the latter was over 0.4 of a second quicker on the last lap. Just over 2 minutes remaining plus 1 lap to go. Leader crosses the line once again. On to lap number 15. And Thum now puts in a best lap of a 51.093, a personal best in the race, with the two drivers behind, Daniel Schollenberger and Timo Haug, the only two drivers to get sub 51 second lap times around here at Muelsen. Marco Winkler now is over a second adrift of Timo Haug in 4th place. Stefan Grabau has dropped to around about 10.3 seconds off of 4th position. But Frenzel, in the meantime, was over 1/10 of a second quicker, 0.124 on that last lap when they completed lap number 14. So 1 minute and 13 plus an additional lap still to go. So the consistent running for Thum and Schollenberger has helped them to keep a lead. But Timo Haug just goes in and sets the fastest lap of this race, a 50.831. Andreas Frenzel also now has a personal best on that particular lap, a 51.781. Konrad Bayer still in 7th, Klaus Barnett still in 8th. Ahead of Birkholz in 9th. Schultz and Yildiz ran out the 11 strong as we go into the last 30 seconds. So Dennis Thum allowed past in the most gentlemanly way possible by Daniel Yildiz, as Daniel Schollenberger also gets past. Now Timur Haug also gets through. So the top 4 drivers will be literally, well, Marco Winkler will be able to see now the 3 up ahead. So it's 3.842 seconds between the top 4 positions. Schollenberger around about 7/10 off of leader Dennis Thum in the 5:44. Timur Haug a further nigh on 1.4 seconds adrift. Final lap board of the DD2 Masters racing action for the day. We will see them tomorrow as the leader, Dennis Thum, in the 5:44 sets a personal best of the race itself on the penultimate lap of 51.043. Daniel Schollenberger completes, well, still stays in 2nd position, setting a lap time of a 51.135. Timur Haug in 3rd place ahead of Marco Winkler, Stefan Grabau, Andreas Frenzel, Konrad Bayer, Klaus Barnett, Falco Birkholz, Daniel Schultz and Daniel Yildiz still circulating as the final lap is about to conclude momentarily. As through the final corner from Kartsport Klim, it is Dennis Thum in the 5:44 that wins the 2nd race for DD2 Masters on the opening day of the season, finishing 0.694 seconds ahead of Daniel Schollenberger from Schollenberger Racing. Timur Haug from FM Racing rounds out the top 3 positions in the 5:07, 1.6 seconds off of a 2nd place finish. Marco Winkler in 4th, a further 2.28 seconds adrift, with Stefan Grabau in the 555 rounding out the top 5 places. Andreas Frenzel and Konrad Bayer combined would be just over 1.4 seconds behind. So Frenzel 0.862 behind Grabau in 6th, and Konrad Bayer a further 5.5 tenths adrift in 7th place. Klaus Barnett from Nies Racing in the 5:02 would round out the top 8 positions, ahead of Falco Birkholz, Daniel Schultz running out the top 10, and last but by no means least, Daniel Yildiz in the 5:72.